Welcome the chosen ones. Some individuals read books, while others look at stars. But the most dangerous ones study you because you made it without becoming one of them. There has been a peculiar quiet around your name recently. Not out of peace, but out of fear. You don't have paranoia. People are watching you, studying you, and trying to figure you out like a puzzle. And here's a fact. Psychological studies show that persons who go against social norms, particularly those who rise up after being counted out, tend to become objects of fascination without even realizing it. You didn't merely climb, you messed up their world. They want answers now, because the fact is that you're not the only thing on their thoughts. They are looking at you quite closely. You weren't meant to get there. Not without playing their games. Not without kissing their boots or eating your shine. But you did. You did it with your integrity intact. With honesty in your eyes. And fire in your steps. Now they don't know whether they should applaud, confess, or make a copy of you. They are watching everything you do. Like your life is a Netflix docuseries called How the Chosen One Beat the System. And what a surprise. There is no trailer, no screenplay, and no repeats. You are the one who gave it away. Stay with me. What you're about to hear isn't for the weak of heart. It's for the people who broke through barriers, survived sabotage, and yet had the guts to grin like they weren't in a battle zone. Let's talk about why they're covertly monitoring you. How the fact that you made it is what scares them the most. First, they don't want to know. They don't understand how different you are. They are not observing you because they are impressed. They are looking at you because they are perplexed. You didn't do what they wanted you to do. You didn't give up. You didn't give in. You didn't ask. And somehow, even if they didn't aid you or give you permission, you still made it. That's what is making them crazy. You weren't intended to be anything more than a label. They attempted to cling to you, but you converted that label into fuel, and now they're looking at you like a living contradiction. It's not adulation, it's analysis. They're attempting to figure you out. You don't fit the mold they are accustomed to. You don't stick to the emotional scripts. They get it. You don't act like other individuals who were hurt, insulted, or doubted. You became bigger instead. You grew smarter, sharper, and more relaxed. And that's what makes them nervous. They don't understand how someone who should have given up under hardship actually became stronger. They've seen folks speak a big game and then fall apart when things became tough. People have acted tough until they were really betrayed. But you really did face storms. You didn't simply make it. You changed. You grew too big for the traps they believed would hold you. Now they're back, watching everything you do, trying to figure out how you think, how much energy you have, and even how quiet you are, because something about you doesn't make sense. And that mystery is putting everything they thought they understood about individuals like you in danger. This is more than just being curious. It's not real. You shouldn't still have that glow in your eyes. You shouldn't still be compassionate, focused, creative, and entire. But you are. And now they want to know how to do it. How did you get out of the mental prison they placed you in? How did you get out of the hole they built for you without being angry or carrying any baggage? They can't just ask you. So they just watch instead. They're attempting to understand how a person like you can exist. The solution is easy. You were never made like them. You didn't need to be accepted to be strong. You never needed anybody else's approval to be good enough. You didn't get there by emulating others. You got there by being precisely who you were meant to be. And now they're watching, attempting to figure out a plan they'll never grasp. Second, you achieved it without their plan. Now they want to figure out how to build your soul. You didn't go the way they went. You didn't get their consent. You didn't take their recipe for success. And that's why they can't stop thinking about you right now. They don't feel inspired. They are upset because you violated all the rules they said were essential to go forward. You didn't get to the top by networking. You didn't give up your real self to fit in. You didn't sell your soul to get spotlight. You just went your own way and still made it. Now they want to figure out how you got to where you are now. They want to look at your narrative like it's a scientific project. Not to celebrate it, but to figure out how someone who didn't do it their way nonetheless obtained the same outcomes. They felt they were the only ones who earned it. You're the flaw in their system, the one thing that doesn't fit. They are amazed that you didn't try to please others, but instead picked a cause and still achieved. You showed that the game is rigged, Yet you still discovered a method to win without cheating. You didn't simply get there. You made it without becoming one of them. That's what is interfering with their reality. They believe that being cold, false, strategic, or manipulative will help them succeed. But you came with love, humility, and perfect timing. And now they don't sure whether they should be jealous of you or ask you questions. They keep an eye on you because they want to find out where your power comes from, but they'll never find it in the areas they're seeking since your strength didn't originate from status. It comes from being spiritually in line. You were led, not trained. The audience didn't make you, they picked you. And because they can't figure out how you got to where you are via their systems, clubs, or techniques, you become a mystery. They want to break. They know how to employ formulas. But your trip wasn't a set plan. It was a heavenly unfolding. It was chaotic, unplanned, and full of stuff they would never have made it through. And yet you're still shining. They want to get in now. They want to look at the movements you made so they can imitate what can't be copied. But you weren't born from a book. You emerged from the flames. You didn't win by playing by their rules. You won by leaving it behind. And that's something they'll never be able to copy. 3. Your tragedy didn't make you weak. It turned you into a spiritual weapon. They feared the agony would kill you. They felt the trauma would hurt you for good. They thought that after all the betrayals, losses, lies, and emotional warfare you went through, you would either become bitter, broken, or both. But instead, you become sharper, smarter, wiser, and stronger. You didn't break down. You changed. That's why you're being monitored right now. You didn't only live through the hits. You got something out of them. You didn't go numb. You looked closely at the wounds. You didn't deny the blackness. You confronted it straight on. And you got insight, understanding, and strength from that agony. That's not common. Most people either shut off or become angry. You did not do either of those things. You went inside, cleaned yourself, and performed the inner job. Now you're a new type of weapon, quiet, accurate, and hard to anticipate. They can't stop studying you because they can't believe that someone can go through hell and emerge out with a clear mind, a clean heart, and a deadly spirit. Being loud doesn't make you dangerous. You are dangerous now that you are cured, because you didn't allow what happened to you make you cruel or numb. You changed it. You made your agony deeper. You turned your scars into signs. You don't need to get back at them. You were the evidence that their assault didn't work. And that's what really gets to them. You didn't become smaller, and you didn't fit in. You didn't let what harmed you turn you into what injured you. You got up, and you rose with clarity. You move in a new way now. You can see right through them. You can sense the energy change before anybody says anything. You can tell what someone wants before they say it. You grew spiritually aware in ways that can't be taught. That's why they are still watching you. Your growth showed them how they were playing games, and your healing rendered their manipulation useless. They can't employ the same tricks anymore since you've become too strong for them to reach. They never thought they would have so much inner strength. They study your calmness, confidence, and shine, but not because they like it. They do it because they don't know how you obtained it without turning chilly. But the reality is, you didn't suddenly become better. You went up. You didn't simply become better. You opened something within of you. They'll never touch. 4. Your presence shows how well they are doing. You don't attempt to be smart. You don't want to be strong. You are what you are. And that's what makes folks feel bad. You have something that can't be faked. The vibe changes as you arrive. Not because you yell or act out, but because your presence softly calls for honesty. You don't make people be genuine. They feel vulnerable around you and start to mess with their own masks. That's the strength you have. Not forced attention, but clear alignment. You don't do well. You don't act like you do. You don't make yourself smaller to make other people feel better. And that's when the stress starts. Because a lot of individuals have spent so much time pretending to be confident, compassionate, and joyful that they don't remember what real life is like. Then you come in. Even if you're not putting on a show, everyone else's performance begins to seem false, even to them. People don't always know why they feel weird around you, but they do. You bring things to the surface in some way. The falsehoods they told themselves, the parts they played, and the reality they tried to escape. Your soul doesn't let you pretend, so people either come to you or go quickly. It's not about you. It's a spiritual thing. They're not reacting to who you are. They're responding to how often you do it. They're keeping an eye on you because simply being yourself makes the world around you less stable. You are the reminder of what they gave up, what they buried, and what they stopped believing in. You show that it's still possible to be real in a world full of fakes. And you don't want to expose anybody. It simply occurs. Your honesty is so strong that it makes their performance sound like it. Your light doesn't require a spotlight to shine. It makes the spotlight seem like it isn't needed. That's why people are looking at you. Not because you want to stand out, but because your authenticity causes everything artificial around you start to fall apart. You don't only make them feel good. You make them think about who they have been acting like. And not everyone is ready to deal with that type of conflict. 5. You're alive proof of what they couldn't kill. They flung everything at you. Lies, defamation, manipulation, emotional traps, and even planned silence. And they were convinced it would kill you. They didn't only want to harm you. They wanted to get rid of you. They planned to destroy your reputation so terribly that no one would ever believe in your light again. But here you are, still alive, still rising, and still gleaming with a calm power that shows they were wrong about you. You're more than simply a survivor. You are proof. They can't turn it anymore. The same people who said you were unstable, worthless, or unimportant now had to watch you do well. They developed a whole version of your tale that was based on destruction. But you were the twist in the story that they didn't see coming. Because you didn't simply come back. You came back stronger. Your healing, your rise, your serenity. It's all paperwork. Every stride you take toward your goal is proof that they attempted to kill it and failed. And that's what makes them afraid. You are a living contradiction to the story they sought to tell. You're still nice, still talented, still driven, and still selected. You had every cause to be resentful, yet you weren't. You didn't stay in vengeance mode, even if they deserved it. You kept changing. And suddenly your entire existence makes them responsible. They don't want people to see you right now because the falsehoods won't work if they do. Your life is now the evidence. You didn't use words to protect yourself. You let the fruit do the talking. They attempted to bury you, but you grew into a seed. They attempted to shut you up. But what you wanted to do began to speak louder than anything you could have spoken. You weren't only hard to break. You couldn't be erased. You now carry receipts with you, not to show them anything, but to remind yourself that no weapon made against you ever had a chance. They were afraid that if you ever got better, you'd be like this. You are what they attempted to stop previously. It might totally grow. And now they can only watch, because you did it. And every lie they uttered falls apart. Every time the truth comes into the room. 6. You're the spiritual oddity they weren't ready for. You don't work like the others. And they know it deep within. You don't quite fit in with the way people are supposed to move in this society. You don't care about your ego, fame, or position. There is something deeper and more timeless that drives you. That's why people are looking at you. They don't just watch you because they're curious. They watch you because they're confused. Your presence makes them question everything they thought they knew about power, identity, and purpose. Because such rules were never meant for someone like you, you don't follow them. You aren't driven by fear, greed, or competitiveness. You are stirred by something deep within you, by heavenly pull, by something old. You're not merely here to end cycles. You're here to dismantle whole plans that keep generations stuck in spiritual poverty. That's why you don't belong. That's why you think others don't understand you. Even when there are a lot of people in the room, you weren't meant to fit in with the system. They basically wanted you to forget that you had codes that weren't taught. I just recall that you move in ways that most people can't hear but can feel when you walk into a room. Just being there brings out what's been dormant in individuals for years. Not because you're loud or flamboyant, but because your spirit speaks languages that are older than their reasoning, and that confuses them. You're the type of strange thing that no one saw coming, and that the people who want everyone to remain sleeping don't want to see. They sought to shut up the part of your lineage that didn't want to follow the rules. They attempted to hide the knowledge that arrived before dread seized hold. But it grew in you. You're not simply going through the motions. You are living for the ancestors who weren't permitted to speak, and the visionaries who died before they could be heard. That's why you can't be put in a box. That's why your ideas are so different. You're linked to something that goes back a long way, before the patterns of today. Because they don't know what to name you, they're observing you now. They can't put you in a box. You can't be ignored because you're too genuine, too intelligent, and too grounded. You don't have to fit in. You are here to break things, heal them, and put them back together. And they never saw you coming. 7. Your movement is not fashionable. It's magnificent. You don't move like the others. And that's what makes you different. While everyone else is looking for attention, power, and praise, you're tuned into something they can't get to. A greater level of education, a deeper understanding, and a heavenly rhythm. You are doing your job. To remain noticeable, you don't follow trends. You don't have to follow the crowd to keep up to date. You go when you're told to, not when people like you. And that is what they don't understand. They've looked at folks who go viral. They know how to make clout, how to buy attention, and how the algorithm works. But you're not the same. You are clocking in for views. You're doing something spiritual. Your timing doesn't match the pace of the world, and your stillness says a lot that loudness can't drown out. You go away while others are posting, yet you come back stronger than before. That's what makes them watch every move you make. They don't get how you can remain important without making a lot of noise. They don't understand how you can still have an effect without doing anything. But that's because your movement isn't based on performance. It comes from a sense of purpose. You walk like someone who understands that fame is just transient and that divine timing will always win. And it makes you hard to anticipate in a world that loves trends. They think that hype will provide momentum. But you get your momentum from following orders. They think that visibility will bring outcomes, but alignment will bring results. You're not simply going through life. You're being led through it. And because your source isn't public, they keep monitoring and attempting to find out where your electricity comes from, but they'll never figure it out since nothing moves. You can't be judged by likes, trend, or stats. You don't want to be popular. You want to go beyond. You're not here to surf the waves. You are the wave, and they can't copy something they don't understand. So instead, they watch you, expecting that your silence would somehow reveal a pattern. But you're not following a formula. You're on a holy road, and no algorithm will ever be able to guess what you will do next. Number 8. You are the unwritten guide that they can't copy. You didn't get a playbook. You didn't get a cheat code, a step-by-step tutorial, or even a guide. You had to find it out while dealing with grief, rejection, and betrayal. You had to go without seeing, while others had mentors, shortcuts, and safety nets. But you still made it. You made your way through the mayhem, and for some reason it worked. They want to know how immediately. They want to make something like what you made. But they don't know the most important thing. You weren't imitating them in the first place. There wasn't a recipe for your success. It came from the flames. From staying up late to fight ideas that no one else knew about. From times when it seemed simpler to stop than to breathe. But something within you wouldn't let you quit. You weren't trying to impress anybody with your life. You were getting by. And to stay alive, you had to be imaginative, purposeful, and smart in ways that no school could ever teach you. That's why they can't copy you. The storms you went through alone hold the key to your blueprint. They don't see that you can't put together what makes you strong. You didn't merely become bigger. You were made. That suggests you become stronger under pressure. You became clear by being confused. And your component comes from getting through conflict zones psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. You didn't simply win. You worked hard for every inch of your glow. And now those who attempted to bring you down are striving to copy you. They want your result, but not your approach. They want your essence, but not your sacrifice. But they don't know that you are the guide. And it was written in your heart, not on paper. There is no blueprint to follow or shortcut to take. You didn't get ahead by copying. You became better by becoming. And every element of you that can't be taught is what makes you unstoppable. You are the real deal in a world that loves copies. They can't copy your route since it was made just for you, with your scars, strength, and vision in mind. You weren't supposed to be followed. You were supposed to be understood. But only by those who are smart enough to know that certain instructions are written in spirit, not ink. 9. You didn't reach your goal. It was let loose. They believed they were going to kill you. When they left you out, hurt you, and drove you to the brink. When they cut you off, they assumed you would fall apart. What they didn't realize was that shoving you off the ladder didn't stop you from going up. It made your wings work. You didn't climb as they did since you weren't supposed to obey their rules. You flew. And that's what they can't understand. You didn't go ahead because of your privilege or approval. You didn't play the game or ask for a place at the table. You had to go. Ignored and counted out. And you still did well since you didn't have to start from scratch to be successful. It was something you were trained to hide behind all the falsehoods, fear, and limits. Everything changed when you let go of those weights. You didn't become strong. You found the power that was always there. They keep looking at your life as you must have gotten fortunate or found favor. But the reality is harsh. You earned it by going through suffering, making clear choices, and making decisions that most people are too scared to do. You said no to something that appeared safe but was really harmful. You chose healing over vengeance, development over gossip, and purpose over popularity. And by doing this, you entered a world that they were never taught to perceive. You got to levels that don't come with instructions, not because someone taught you, but because you were brave enough to ask greater questions. While they were busy climbing the social ladder and trying to get others to like them, you broke codes they didn't even realize were real. You were busy breaking the bonds that held you back from your ancestors and changing the way you think. And when the system spewed you out, you didn't die. You got up. They are watching now. Not because they wish to honor you, but because you are incredibly. They don't understand presence. You don't have the animosity they thought you would. You don't look like what you went through. And most crucially, you don't belong in the plot. They attempted to write for you. You were never meant to do as well as they did. You were created to let go. And that's what makes you a threat. They didn't expect you to be like this. You're what they never thought would happen. 10. Your article shows how powerful you are. They were counting on your failure, which would leave irreparable harm. They expected the treachery would make you furious and loud. They thought that being turned down would make you needy and unsure of yourself. They thought that the falsehoods would make you resentful and unpredictable. But they didn't see your peace coming. That's what really gets to them. Not your shine. Not your return. Your peace. You don't feel bad. You are not broken. You aren't attempting to clap back or prove anything out here. You're simply still. And in a world that loves noise and action, that quietness is scary. They fear that if they dragged your name through the dirt, your spirit would never heal. But instead of being smaller, you became bigger. You didn't act out, you went inside. And from that calm area, you discovered something people don't get. True power. Your article reads, "I've healed in ways you didn't even know. We're losing blood." Your essay indicates I don't need to get back at you. I became the evidence that none of it worked. People start attempting to figure you out when they can't get you to shake. They want to know what brought you to this peaceful area. After all the trouble, how you're still kind after the hurt and courteous after the disrespect. How to walk with grace instead of anger. They don't know that you didn't get your peace. It was deserved. You have to work hard for it. You had to weep for it. You needed to stop doing things that were bad for you, stop becoming involved in drama, and break ties that were draining your energy. You didn't choose peace because it was the simple thing to do. You picked it because it was the only option that didn't mean you had to betray yourself. And now that tranquility is your strength. You didn't yell your truth. You went through it. You didn't want to get back at them. You let your healing do the talking. And you had the final word in that stillness. Your article revealed everything they wanted to keep secret. That's why they can't quit looking. Your calmness is revolutionary in a society that loves turmoil. Number. You are a danger because you don't need a throne. They thought you wouldn't be able to do anything without recognition. That you would fade into the background without the spotlight, the platform, or the approbation. But you didn't. You continued going up. You didn't go for a title. You didn't ask for a job. And that's why you're so dangerous. You never needed the throne to be in charge. You walk on it. You don't need applause to feel good about yourself. You don't need to wait for people to vote for you to be in charge. You don't need the crown since you already act like a queen in how you think, move, treat others, and deal with stress. That's what makes them nervous. Titles may be taken away. You can take positions. But presence, actual presence that can't be manufactured or taken away. You have an energy that speaks for itself. You get respect without asking for it. You change the mood without attempting to control it. You don't change people because you're loud. You change them because you're grounded. When someone like you comes along, someone who is strong but not showy, grounded but not arrogant, it shocks the people who need outside strength to feel important. They felt you needed someone else to tell you that you were good enough. But you made your identity in secret. You found out how valuable you are while no one was applauding. You discovered your strength when no one else did. And now that you've become used to it, you can't be hurt since your confidence doesn't come from a job, a relationship, a platform, or a following. It comes from being sure of who you are without having to prove it. That's what they don't get. That's what they're looking at. You don't want to be crowned. You already know that you are the one. Your peaceful authority speaks louder than any ceremony ever could. You didn't have to sit on a throne to be the king of your realm. You turned into the throne. That's why they're scared. Because you don't have to tell them about your strength. It simply is. Number. They wanted you to go. Now they want to know how you got up. They were confident that shoving you out would be the end of your tale. They murmured, schemed, and waited for you to break down. Some others even applauded too soon, believing they had finally stopped you from reaching your full potential. But you didn't give up. You didn't go away. You got up. And not just quietly, but in a manner that made every lie they uttered about you come true. That's why they're watching now. Not with respect, but with doubt and mistrust. They didn't imagine someone like you, someone they fought hard to ruin, could start again from scratch. But you didn't simply fix things. You made something that has never been made before. You made a purpose out of the rubble of their treachery. From the ashes of being turned down, you started a fire that they can't put out. And now they're interested. How did you get it done? How did you go from being the one they've written off, the one they can't miss? They're not watching because they care about you. They are observing because they don't understand you. You were intended to show what occurs when someone is left out. Instead, you showed what occurs when someone connects with their higher self and won't give up. You didn't do what most people do to be successful. You didn't have to network to get into rooms or beg to be noticed. You simply linked with your mission, healed, concentrated, and leveled up without saying a word. That's what they can't stop thinking about now. They want your recipe. They want to figure out how you got to the top when they didn't think it was possible. But what they don't get is that there was no formula. You constructed what you did by getting spiritual downloads, thinking deeply about yourself, and having an unwavering sense that your life still mattered, even when no one else did. You got up because you stopped waiting for someone to tell you to. They wanted you to go because your light showed too much. But now people want to see you because you have answers that no one else has. You are the proof that success isn't necessarily loud, straight, or supported by others. You're what happens when someone tries to rise nonetheless, and now people can't stop watching. Hoping to find the secret in your steps, but not knowing that the actual secret was who you become after they believed you were done. Number. You became the teacher they didn't deserve. They did all they could to stop you. They made fun of your progress, downplayed your voice, laughed at your anguish, and ignored your vision. They thought your knowledge was a danger. Your truth is too harsh. Your wisdom does too much. But they accomplished the reverse of what they wanted to do when they tried to quiet you. They made your voice clearer, your message clearer, and your presence stronger. The same people who label you crazy, too deep, or too serious are now discreetly watching everything you do, trying to learn the truth. They used to make fun of them. You didn't plan to become a teacher. You were just trying to stay alive. You were simply trying to figure out what was going on with the treachery, the turmoil, and the spiritual battle. But in the thick of all the chaos, you became smart. The kind of knowledge that doesn't come from books or titles, but from breaking, healing, and coming back together. You weren't attempting to teach anybody anything. You became one. Your life is now the book. The talk is on how you develop. The test is how quiet you are. They don't watch you because they want you to win. They watch you because they need to know what's going on. Your growth makes people uncomfortable, not because you brag, but because you show. You show them where they gave up, where they pretended to be somebody they weren't, and where they chose the easy way out. Every time you get up, you remind them of what they didn't want to deal with. They assumed you were simple to ignore. They didn't think your voice was worth anything. But reality showed me differently. Your breakout is now loud, and it resonates in places they attempted to keep you out of. They're watching from the sidelines, attempting to copy your shine and cite your lucidity, but they don't have the support to accomplish it. They desire the fruit, but not the roots. But you paid for what you bear in full with fire, loneliness, and strength. And now the irony is really strong. You turn to become the instructor they never respected but now really need. You never attempted to make them like you. That's what makes your effect stronger. You don't need a pulpit. You don't need them to compliment you. Your life preaches just by existing. And your rising teaches us things. Their egos are still too weak to say they needed to learn. Number. You did it, but you put it all back together. You did it, but not in the manner they thought. Not by faking. Not by doing. Not by treading on other people to get ahead. You got up without losing your soul. And that's what has them so shocked. Because in their universe, success nearly always costs something. Give up your ideals. Make up your image. Tell a lie. Chase approval like money. But you didn't do any of those things. You followed the long, hard, and honest path and still made it. They don't understand. You didn't play the game, yet you still won. You didn't change your form to fit in with them. You didn't change who you are to make it taste better. You came as you were, eager and authentic. And somehow it was enough. That's what they can't explain. Because most individuals that ascend either lose themselves on the way up or make up a version of themselves that isn't even genuine. But you remained strong. You stayed true to yourself. You remained. You. And that degree of realness at the top. It's not common. You didn't give up your purity for power. You found out that they may live together. That's the part that is changing everything they believe since they were taught and even taught others that you needed to lose something to be successful. You have to give up that tenderness. That caring for others is a sign of weakness and being honest is a sign of naivete. But you are now live evidence that purity and power are not the same thing. They make things louder. And that fact makes those who give up their true selves to get successful feel bad. What they see in you makes them uneasy because it goes against everything they thought they were okay with. You made it, yet your light is still with you. Your heart is still there. You still have your spirit. You didn't become cold, rude, or controlling to stay alive. You became deeper, clearer, and smarter. They stated there was no such thing as you, yet you are it. A chosen one who has both scars and power. Someone who has witnessed awful things but didn't let them change who they are. Someone who was hurt but didn't let it get to them. Someone who was quieted, but learned how to talk with authority. You didn't simply get here. You came entire. That's what really makes you untouchable in a world full of pieces and facades. They believed they were putting you in the ground, but they were really planting you. They didn't know that every time someone said no, betrayed you, or lied about you, it made things worse for a soul that was already selected. You weren't only supposed to live. You were supposed to become proof. Proof that you don't have to give up your soul to get ahead. Proof that peace is strength. Proof that being real still messes up everything that is based on ego and performance. You didn't simply do it. You made it entire. Now they can't quit looking at your life and trying to figure it out. They don't watch you because they get you. They watch you because they don't. Because you broke a code that they said didn't exist. You got up from sabotage without getting back at them. You did well without copying. You shone without needing anybody to tell you. You are a live example of what occurs when spirit leads and ego dies, and you are a walking contradiction to their systems. That's why they're looking into you. That's why they can't stop thinking about it. You broke away from the traps of your age, changed plans on the fly, and decided to heal instead of hate. You have a unique frequency and a destiny that can't be changed. They could attempt to copy your moves, but they'll never be able to copy your content. Because it wasn't taught. It was made up. So keep going, you strange person. When you are told to, keep talking, and when it is holy, be quiet. Keep shining without asking for permission. You don't need them to clap for you. You already have alignment. You don't need the crown. You already have the kingdom within you. And the next time you're curious about why so many people are watching you, remember that they attempted to get rid of you. Now they can't stop trying to figure you out. You are the plan. You are the change. You are the prophesy that they never saw coming. And you didn't simply get up. You changed the way we think about rising. If this message moved you, made you think, recall, or maybe dig a bit deeper into your own truth, don't let it end here. Sign up for the channel so you never miss another word that was intended for you at the right time. Give this video a thumbs up if it backs up what your soul already understood. Leave a comment below to make your voice known. Someone else could need your insight right now. Give this to someone who is quietly working on being who they are. Tell them they're not insane for wanting peace and that they're not alone. Depth and honesty in a world full of noise. This isn't simply a channel. It's a movement. A safe place for the selected, the real, the strong. So keep in touch. Be in line and, most importantly, be loyal to who you are becoming. Because, believe me, the world hasn't seen anything yet. God bless you.